We did it again. I think
We did it again.
we did it again.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Oh no.
Good one. I was going to theme songs. You got to do Three's Company if you're going to do that.
Oh yeah. Do you know the Three's Company theme song?
Come on, knock on our door.
Oh, that wah pedal riff on that is the best. I love that intro.
Yeah. There you go.
That's
Well,
good
we're
stuff.
live, I guess. I guess it's time, guys. You think it's time? It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Hit the button,
Tuesday.
Jay. Hit the button.
Hit the button. Here we go. We're live. What time is it? No.
Marc Seal time.
Marc Seal's back. Time.
Wow. Listen to you guys, man.
Host of Take the
Goodness.
Lead is back.
Did you just say Marc Seal's back time?
I don't know, man. We're trying to. We're not as talented as Andy Lund. We know this, right?
No, we are
Hardly anyone is, really.
I know, but I don't get hate really that much from my mom anymore because she told me she was, she always clarifies. We talked about this. She's like, I want to clarify. This isn't hate. I just wish the talented one was back on the show.
Wow.
No, she didn't say that, but she does miss his music. I think we all miss his music, right?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
dude, I just heard his new record. Somebody put a link out or something for the Man from Tuesday.
Yeah.
What?
How cool is that,
I
man?
don't have that.
It's on, Spotify, wherever you download and stream music for free and don't pay anybody any money, you can hear it there.
Yes.
That's kind of what the music business.
Yeah, just
is.
remember, you're not paying any artists, so just keep doing it.
If you want to support them by not giving them any money whatsoever,
Go to their shows. Go to
Stream.
tour. You got to see them all. You got to see them live. They get paid that way.
yeah, but they don't tour. They don't play.
You know, it's really interesting. I've learned this. We were with Bare Naked Ladies guys the other day, and those guys they're crushing it. They always crush it, right? They're just, if you've never seen Bare Naked Ladies live, go see Bare Naked Ladies live. I don't care if you think by the name of the band it's corny. Sure, it's 4 old dudes telling dad jokes the whole time. That's great. It's fun, but they have so much joy on stage, and they're so tight.
They're
like
fantastic. They're a great band.
Perfect live band. However, they're still doing it right. They're selling merch. They're playing shows, and the shows aren't obnoxiously expensive. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. How do you feel about shows?
Showy. I like shows. I've been going to more shows now than I haven't. Well, obviously in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Going to 3 in the next week.
Really?
It's all the same band, but I'm going to see
Who?
Yeah, who's that?
our friends in Yachtly Crew.
Oh, Yachtly Crew. You know, there was one time we were going to try and have Yachtly Crew do a performance, like a pre-record. Can we get
Yeah.
back on that? I think this audience would like that.
I think we can get back on that. So
That's a good vibe.
Dude, that's one of my favorite bands. I've seen them probably at least 3 or 4 times. We go to see them at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano, and we'll get the room upstairs. It's called the Taco Room. All of our friends, everybody dresses up, and it is one of the most fun shows you could ever go to. If you have not seen Yachtly Crew live, you've got to check them out. It's just, you kind of know the words to every song. It's the, for my generation and 10 years below and 10 years up. You know every freaking song.
Every song.
You don't realize you
Everyone.
know every song. It's just
Yep.
fantastic.
And the thing is, at first you're like, wow, I used to hate this song when I was a kid,
Right.
but now I really like it.
Yeah.
Every one of those
my mom's
songs.
car listening to Baker Street is a
Yeah,
10-year-old.
exactly.
It's just wonderful now. It's funny. My daughter, because of TikTok, just does its thing. My daughter's 15. And she's got a handful of songs she loves. The 2 newest ones that she plays relentlessly. And she likes a lot of modern music, but she has Right Down the Line by Jerry Rafferty. Plays that song all the time. And then the other one she
Great
just
tune.
recently found that she loves is I Think I Love You by Sean Cassidy,
Partridge
or
Family?
Partridge Family, or whoever it is. And she freaking loves it. She just plays the crap out of that song. Like, holy smokes, TikTok is actually bringing back music that our kids would not think was cool if we showed it to them. But they find it on TikTok, and all of a sudden it's this hidden gem. and the music really holds the test of time.
It just proves that a good song is a good song. It doesn't matter how old it is. It's about how the notes intertwine and what it does. It resonates with a person, and it's just good. Period.
Look what I found, guys.
What'd you find?
Read that. It looks like Bill had a birthday.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah. Hope it was a good one.
I hope you got a new guitar, because everyone needs a new guitar for their birthday.
If not, maybe we could tempt you with one this evening.
Yeah, we
Maybe
can
we
facilitate
could.
that.
For the summer.
For the summer.
We
All right,
have
let's get into the
suggestions.
show. It's been
It's
1 week.
been 1 week.
So good.
it's actually it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since we've done a show, because last week, of course, you guys know that you've seen that we're putting out a lot of guitars. We got a lot of new instruments coming out. We got a lot of projects that we're working on. I'm sure you guys have heard of a couple. And yes, we will have Andy Powers on at some point to talk about one of his projects, but we'll leave it at that. Tonight's show is fantastic. We're going to talk about new T5zs, including a killer video that Mark did. And we're going to talk about how he made it. So it's going to be really, really fun to talk about that. We're going to talk about travel guitars, GS Minis. Well, not all travel guitars, but specifically GS Minis. I kind of want to play a game. I want to see if it works. It might work. It might not. You know, when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, this one or that one? This better?
A, one or two, A or B.
Or B. I want to play that with GS Minis, and I think we could handle that in a little bit. And then at the end of the show, towards the end, we're going to talk about summer guitar care. We got Gabe. What are you? What level tech are you? Silver, gold, bronze,
Myrrh.
Frankincense. He's
Frankincense.
frankincense.
I'm
level.
feeling platinum, man.
Platinum.
Gabe's got it down, man.
But we're going to lean into Gabe and Mike. Mike does a lot of care when he goes around to.
Oh, I care.
Oh, you care.
I definitely care.
Oh, you care. Once I walked in on Zach Harntz, I think he was in like
Doing
a Guitar
what?
Center, or something,
Oh.
like frantically cleaning all the guitars at like Sam Ash or some Guitar Center. Yeah, it was awesome. Anyway, and then we wanted to bring Mark on because Mark, you are the master, in my opinion. You're so phenomenal. Obviously, you're a great player, but something about you and with a T5z in your hands. So I do want to get into, why you gravitate to that guitar often. We'll get there in a minute. Of course, I got a disclaimer. Let's keep the feed clean. You guys know how this works. I don't want Gabe to have to put you in timeout.
Yeah.
Notice I don't put you in timeout. It's always Gabe.
It's always me.
Yeah, I mean,
Blame Canada.
blame Gabe. Blame
Ohio.
the Guardian.
Yeah, definitely blame the Guardians.
Guardians, man. Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah, but so are the Giants. So my Tigers, man, they're having a hard time.
Since like 1974.
84. Get it right.
84.
84, yeah. 84.
We've been
was
in a
good year.
rebuild. We've
Well,
been
dude,
in a
my son's at the Angels game right now. He got Diamond Club tickets with a friend of ours,
Nice.
and he gets to see that pitcher that apparently is like the greatest thing ever to happen to baseball. Is it Oteri? Is that his name?
Otani.
Ohtani, man. I mean,
Oteri,
he's a
Ohtani,
two-way player.
potato, potato.
Sherry O'Terry. Yeah.
No.
Sherry
Hey,
O'Terry
so-
from Saturday Night Live
Right.
pitches for the Angels now that she switched careers.
Yeah.
True story. Because you
That's
guys
also
are
true, Phil.
You
Wayne
guys are
Johnson.
total baseball guys, and the truth is, I got a call yesterday, and my son's like, "Dad, I've got 4 tickets." A friend of ours who has his wife's an attorney, some high-powered attorney, got these incredible 4 tickets for the Diamond Club for tonight's game with Ohtani. And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm in." And then my wife's like, "A calendar says you got something at 6 with Taylor guitars." So I bailed on that to come hang with you guys. And quite frankly, as much as I'm
You
into
chose
baseball,
poorly.
Timeout.
no.
With all that said, so you saw me earlier pick up my phone and I was texting somebody and I was like, "This is what's going on." What
He was
happening?
texting Otani.
What had happened? I would kill for that. Like I just want to speak. I can't speak his language, but it would be an
for that.
interesting conversation between. I love baseball. Obviously, he does.
Yep.
No, I was connecting somebody from Taylor with Padres tickets. So, Mark, I bet you I could get us to an Angels game.
Okay.
I'll throw that
go.
one out there. We'll get to an Angels game, just you and me.
That would be a blast. We'll have a good time.
And
never gets me Guardians tickets though.
No.
Why would he?
Yeah, duh. And like last minute, we'll like have a primetime episode
Live
scheduled and
from
be
the
like, sorry
ballpark?
guys, I gotta go to the game, and we'll go live from the game. That would be awesome.
That
Would
awesome.
seriously be a blast, man.
Anyway.
The good news was last part on that is I get offered other tickets for these. I think the second week of July, so I'm going to get a chance to go at some point. So
It would have been great
it was
if Mark's background was like a green screen attached to the back of him at the game, though.
So good,
Like,
Gabe.
we're sitting there talking about T5Zs, and he's like, "Yeah, that would have been awesome."
Gabe, how are
Mike
you?
just keeps popping in and out.
How are you, Gabe?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just deal with Ohio traffic jams and normal stuff.
He sends me pictures all the time. He'll be like traffic jam, and it'll be like a horse and carriage,
Or like a tractor, an
or like a
enormous tractor.
random enormous
So good.
tractor. Yeah. Anyway.
But no, doing really good. Got all my guitars. Just went through some summer maintenance on them. You can see the white thing on the bottom is a dehumidifier, making sure the studio stays correct. We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Amish country, Ohio, where you're at? I know Zach and I traveled through
Amish country.
Pennsylvania. You come around the corner, man. It scared the crap out of you because come around the corner right there's a horse and buggy and some chick with a couple kids and the whole thing.
Oh yeah, there's kids.
They're on the roads. They're on the actual roads that you're driving 60 miles an hour.
Lots of bikes, lots of buggies, lots of pony carts, which is like I don't know how to explain a pony cart other than it's like a crate with two kids in it with giant wheels being pulled by a pony. Like, and they're usually like kids, like 6, 8, 10 years old on highways.
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, my mom wanted you to know the Tigers are winning, so chill. I said that. It's
I
like
forgot to message her on Instagram the other day.
It says, tell Gabe to chill.
When the Guardians
You've been talking for
won.
12 minutes and 23 seconds, and it's time to get into the show. That's
It
what
is.
she wrote. No joke.
I thought this was the show. What are we doing?
It is. It's a talk show. If you're new to the show, we talk a lot. So stick around. It's a good time. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're going to have a good time. So tonight we're talking about what I told you we're talking about, T5Zs, GS Minis, summer guitar care. Hopefully you guys learned something tonight. If forgive us if you already know it, we might get a little elementary, but it's always good to refresh your guitar care knowledge. How about we do a segment real quick and talk just a little bit longer? So, let's play a useless clip, right? Let's play a useless clip.
It's
all right,
do it.
guys.
Do
you
it.
know what it is. Where did Gabriel go? What are you doing? Why does he do that, Mike?
Because we
like
both
jump
need
up.
visual aids. That's why I ran off camera with 13 seconds before we started.
You can't remember what you're listening to?
I totally can remember. Visual aids are always better. It's like flashcards, man. It's like
Exactly.
Okay,
flashcards
flashcards.
of love.
That being said, Mark doesn't need flashcards. Mark, what have you been listening to lately, music-wise?
Well, I've been trying to get into the new Queens of the Stone Age because everybody I know is just raving about it. So I gave it a pass. I just listened to it. And it's just amazing. I was tripping on how much that guy sounds like David Bowie. On
On
one
this
of the new
album,
cuts.
yeah.
Oh my God. But it's brilliant. It's like new old stock. It's fantastic. And the production is killer. And that's kind of been the newest thing I've gotten hip to. I'm like, wow, these guys are I saw an interview with Dave Grohl, and he was talking about how they are by far his favorite band, rock bands out there that's touring. He just says they're brilliant. And I've already know, I kind of know they were great, but I hadn't gotten too much into their stuff. And that through that interview, I'm like, I got to really check them out and give a deeper listen. And kept my mind blown. Had AirPods in, listened to it, pretty good. And I was like, wow, this is some real good stuff. So I'm excited about that. I checked out Andy and Mike's the new album, Man from Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was checking that out, Mike Lilly's. So that's cool. Those are the kind of two newest things. And I'm just constantly hearing all the stuff that my kids listen to because they get in the car and they just take over. They
What are your kids listening to? I want to see if my kids are listening to the same.
Well, now I'm going to indict myself as a parent because my son is really into a lot of either like a lot of Latin music, which is actually the cool thing he's getting into. But more than that, he's a rap kid. It's just weird.
Dude.
He just loves all the rap stuff, man. And
some hip hop, some good, some of it's good. Some of it's like I'm your dad and I know what I'm talking about because I grew up on hip hop, blah blah blah. But some of it's really good. I mean, spectacular.
like the new AI Drake song. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's the best. All right.
Yeah, that song's like actually getting traction. It's like AI. I'm like, holy smokes! I guess the Beatles have a new song coming out. John Lennon has been resurrected through AI.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So
do you guys read that?
Yeah,
they're amazing.
They used AI
again.
they used AI to clean up some vocals from a demo he recorded.
Yeah.
And they're building a song around it.
That's
I don't know
awesome.
what they're doing for George Harrison, but
All right then. Gabe, what have you been listening to besides Snoop Dogg?
I'm kind of not Snoop Dogg so much this week. I've been listening to kind of back on the new Josh Ritter record. My kids got hooked on it, and so they ask for it by name now, which is kind of fun. I'm pretty pumped that Swell Season has a new record coming. And I've been on a 90s throwback kick for a little while. Mike was talking about some 90s stuff a few shows ago, and it kind of got me to go way down on the line on 90s playlists. So I've been deep into Space Hog and all kinds of fun stuff. Blur.
Built to Spill has a new record coming out. Guided by Voices, has a new record coming out. Built to Spill, Guided by Voices. Not anything like each other, but Guided by Voices. Anyway, okay. That's great. Mike, what have you been listening to?
Well, more 90s. 90s are making a big comeback in my collection. Yes, I'm still listening to the new Foo Fighters album because I absolutely cannot get sick of it. I
haven't heard this. I need to get it. You keep talking about it, and I need to
really good.
do it. Just do it. It's that good.
I'm sure it's great.
I was actually at a party in LA on Saturday, and I ran into an old coworker who actually was very good friends with Taylor Hawkins, and she's like, I can't bring myself to listen to it. I said, if you want to honor him and Dave's mom, listen to this album. It's that good. And she's like, okay, I'll make sure I get to it. But yeah, it's a dark record, but it's amazing. But otherwise though, these came in the mail the other day.
These
Mark will appreciate at least one of these. Two of the best albums from the 90s. First one being Angel Dust by Faith No More.
Yeah.
Arguably their best album that they ever made.
Best album.
And this is the best album that this band ever made. The classic Rust in Peace.
Do you know how many students I had to teach those guitar riffs to in the 90s?
He's such a good guitar player. He's such a good guitar player.
You could do a Holy Wars T5z tribute.
There has got to be a way with Godwin is close friends with Dave Mustaine. I think that's the reach for episode 100.
There you go.
What if we begged Dave Mustaine?
He'll come on and be like, when I was talking to Tim about coming on the show, that's kind of what it would be.
So awesome. Okay.
The 90s, Mark, the 90s had to be a wild time to be a guitar teacher because you couldn't be a guitar teacher unless you're an absolute shredder.
What? No.
No one wanted you.
You would also teach everyone Metallica riffs that were the easiest, one. Right?
Yeah,
I want to learn how to play Metallica 1. I don't want the whole song. I just want
the riffs.
The riff and the intro. Yeah.
That's
Inner
all it
Sandman.
was. I think the thing about that was interesting was when I first started teaching, it was just the very end of the age, early 90s. And I went to a store where there was 3 other teachers. One was a jazz guy, one was a blues guy, a little bit older dude. And one was just, your acoustic guy. And I came in, I was 20, 21 years old, whatever. And I remember the first student I ever had, I taught him how to play Hopper Teacher by Van Halen. And within 3 months, I had 40 students because that's what everybody wanted to do. It was let's just go. And it was Metallica and Van Halen, and then all the glam rock stuff was just so much fun. All the Ozzy riffs and Zach Wilde riffs and Jakey Lee riffs. That was a fun time to be a guitar teacher because that just does not happen now, unfortunately.
All
Yeah,
right.
even the rhythm of those bands at that time, the rhythm phrasings, like, yeah, I mean, you always heard about, shredding so much, there's a pile of Parmesan at the end of the solo, but if you think about the rhythms that a lot of these guys were playing, like Zakk Wylde played, like Eddie Van Halen played, like a lot of them were almost like blues boogies that are all over the fingerboard, and a lot of fun to play, Now it's just like E5. G5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great because they were using so many different I call them like major and minor power chords, where you're doing just thirds and you're doing inversions of those thirds, or you're doing flat fives, and you're just doing these two notes, but you're creating harmonically. You're staying in a key, but doing some great all those. I mean, one of the riffs that comes to mind. Think about like "Lay It Down" by Rat, Warren D. Martini.
Yeah,
I mean, what a fantastic riff, and it's just manipulating power chords, really.
Yep.
But it's just freaking brilliant, man.
Power chords. All right, here, I'll tell you what I've been listening to. So we do this thing with my daughters when they're together. My wife and I like to like pull out music that we used to listen to and like jam it loud while we're driving, and like they have zero control and it really bums them out, but it's fun. Yeah. So the other night we were driving, my 15-year-old's here from Texas, and she was hanging out, and we were driving back from Los Angeles. And so we put 9 Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine on, and just like as loud as everybody's ears could handle. And we just acted like they weren't existent in the back seat. It was the best. So now I'm on this like early, late 80s, early 90s industrial thing. Anyway. It's a good time.
Could be worse.
Well, have you got her into Tool yet, or Perfect Circle, or any of that stuff?
You know what? The last Tool record is so good. She's my almost 11-year-old on the 4th of July is she's super familiar with the latest Tool record. It's such a masterpiece in my eyes. She hears it a lot, so she'll be like, "Is this Tool again?"
Why, yes.
Why, yes, it's Tool. That being said, let's talk shredding real quick. Let's talk Marc Seal and shredding.
Yes.
We're going to go right into
What does that mean?
We're going to go right into this video.
Shred.
That's it. I'm going to pull this video up that we worked on with you. We're going to talk about how you made it, and then we're going to dive into T5Zs. Let's do it. The new T5Z Pros and the new T5Z Custom.
Cool.
Koa. Here it is. Here's this video. It rips. Well, I got to find it, actually. Gabe, did I lose it again? All right, here it is. Ready, everybody? It's about 1.5 minutes long. Enjoy yourselves. That rips so hard, right?
It does rip so hard.
Like,
How did you get Keith Urban to do that video, man?
How did you get Keith Suburban?
That's Paul's comment, man. Paul just said that. So silly.
Look at Bandrew. Look at Bandrew. Where'd he go? Yeah. It's right here. Just give him so good. It is. It is. It's so good. So let me tell you about the Create. So obviously when we make up content, like we have content ideas, strategy ideas, often my weird brain will throw something on paper, or Gabe knows, right? I'll call him with an idea and we'll bounce ideas off of each other and kind of just take it from there. The creative on that literally took 30 seconds. I called Chris Sorensen, who directed that video and edited it and mixed it and all this kind of stuff. And I said, here's what I want to do. We got 4 guitars. I want Mark to use his looper, his FM9, to go do this thing where he plays a different line for every single guitar, and then the guitar switches. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Done. That was it. It was literally 30 seconds. He's like, okay, cool. I got to go. Click. And then we scheduled it, and Mark went there. And honestly, it was kind of like, I'm just going to serve this idea, and whatever happens, happens. So his nickname is Boosty, Boosti. This fellow we like to hang out with. He's also in some bands and other stuff. But he sent me the first version of that, and I was like, that's it. Approved. It's done. It's fantastic. You have to do nothing else. The only edit was the model IDs, of course. I made sure they were in the right spot, and then the logo on the front and the back, and that was it. That was the first pass. So first of all, bravo, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Your playing is spectacular. And Boosty did a heck of a job. You guys worked. That was just in his studio. You didn't have to go anywhere crazy. But would you walk us through how you did that and where you kind of came up with the lines and the riffs and the different layers of that song?
Yeah, it was fun because I show up and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have anything written. Often if I'm just, doing anything I'm doing, I'll write riffs and just kind of archive them. And I had that basic chord progression. I like that first chord, and that was kind of the catalyst for everything, the impetus. And came up with that. And so I said, well, what do you think about this? We sit down, we go in there, and they're doing all the lighting, get everything all set up. And how do we want to have it? In fact, if you look in the video, I think you can see my computer in the background because we're programming the FM9 to get the sounds for each guitar, how I want to do it. And I gave up with the basic one melody, that ba-da-ba-ba, had the basic melody, the basic chord progression. And then we just started filming. Said, okay, play that here. And then we started writing. So we kind of stopped rolling all the cameras. Said, okay, let's produce a song. That wasn't what I was signing up for. I was just going to go and play some riffs and just do a T5 demo or whatever. And so we start kind of writing the song, and Boosty has just some great ideas. Really, really competent producer, had some good ideas. And I didn't have a lot of skin in the game for pushback or anything to have any agenda. I didn't have an agenda. I was like, well, I'll just be a studio guy. Let's see what we can come up with. So I started playing riffs. I like that. Oh no, okay, don't do that. But over here, do this. And he would, I'd give him a lick and he'd like a lick. So I have to go back and relearn the lick I just played. And after a while, we went probably, maybe a couple of hours and came up with all the different parts. And then it was like, okay, start handing guitars and let's just start building this loop. And so all those parts are played live. When you see it being played, that's really being played. That's not being, I'm not lip syncing to it, so to speak. And what was cool about it was they got done. We record all the parts, track it on all the different guitars, and we get it all dialed in. And then they came back, and then I did play to the parts a bunch of times just to get all the different camera angles. So the main parts you see where you see the main melody, that's actually me playing it. But then the moving shots of things going around, some of that was more overdub, but ended up, it was like a 5-hour session, I think. And by the time we got done, I actually could play that song note for note, but it was hard because I had to go back and learn parts that I had improvised. There was like, especially that last part, it's like, bada, bada. He's like, do that bada da da thing again, but do it up higher and do it on the blue guitar with a distortion sound. And then went back and forth. And then the hardest one, I think, was that kind of hybrid picking thing I'm doing on the T5, the acoustic one, where they washed it out with reverb. But that was just, I was walking down. And so I had to go back and relearn that part just to have a second shot of playing it on there. But it was just this really fun project. I've never done anything quite like that. I've done demos or I've recorded music, but I've demo while I'm writing, recording.
I knew you could do it, man. I mean, Mark did some of the demos for these guitars that'll go up on our website shortly. but he had already been used to it. I mean, you're so spectacular with that instrument anyway. You do one of the best demos. Wayne Johnson does another, spectacular
Amazing.
demo of
Love
that
that guy.
that instrument. But excuse me, I knew that if anybody could do this, it was you. And Boosty could film it. Not only could he film it, but he would produce something super cool, which was interesting because it was all shot single camera.
Right.
So all of that whole thing was just
it was single camera, but it was the single coolest camera I've ever seen. It's like $100,000 camera or something.
Right. I mean,
it looked like the freaking satellite, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's shooting on red and all that. I mean, it's really spectacular, but bravo to everyone involved in making that.
Well, thanks for letting me do it. Honestly, that was a lot of fun. It turned out to be a much more enjoyable project than I anticipated. I just thought, I could go hang and do this thing, but it was really fun. It was a good experience.
Oh, I see.
Thanks for letting me do it.
Now, from now on, I got to get super creative with Mark, and he's going to enjoy himself. No, but that was the point. So, speaking with one of Mike's bosses, Dave Pelletier, director of sales. Dave doesn't like to talk a lot. He wants guitars to show themselves off. And so with T5Z, you can look on the internet, T5Z. You're probably part of a lot of these demos, but there's like just a boatload of demos, right? And people still are confused by how this guitar works from time to time, right? They're like, okay, there's 5 T stands for thin line, and 5 is 5 selector switch into it. What does that mean? Yada yada yada. So what Dave and I were discussing is simply inspire somebody to pick up a cool instrument and play it. And you did that. You did exactly what we want people to do with this instrument, and that is write music. Bravo.
Oh, right on, man. I think what's interesting is all those years, I did, 13 or 14 years of road shows, and having done hundreds of those all across the country, the thing that blew my mind is how many people would walk by it at a road show. That's such a cool looking guitar, and they wouldn't want to touch it. They didn't know what it was. They wouldn't know to even pick it up because they'd say, "Oh, it's a Taylor. Must be okay, cool." But I'm going to go check out the 814 or the 816 or whatever the new offering was at the time. And when the shows where we would do T5 demos, I mean, Mike and I, we've done a pile of road shows. How many times did we do T5 demos and they just kind of flew out the door?
It was
once somebody knew what it was.
Once somebody knew what it was, like I can't even tell you how many dozens of road shows I've done with Mark over the years, and it was always sort of the thing when we got to that portion of the show. It was almost, it's kind of like time for like the DSM to get a drink of water. The guy who's the host, me. I'm gonna go get a drink of water or whatever and separate all the goodies for giveaways at the end of the night and all that stuff. But then Mark would start the whole thing, and I'm like, I can't not watch this. So, I mean, a lot of it is presentation and just learning on how to use it, because every time he did it, I figured out something new. And, that could be told as, that could be looked at as being like a long tail sort of education with a guitar. But at the same time, I look at it as you keep discovering new things about the guitar, and that gives you longevity with the guitar. That's what's great about the T5Z in my mind.
I think
the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say a million years.
I can mute him, Mark.
A million years ago, I worked at a dealer too, and same when we would do road shows or events where we had somebody come in and demo the guitar. So many people would discover it for the first time. I think one of the cool things that Mark does that I see so many guitar players, so many electric guitar players try to fit new electric guitars into a box. It's a Strat or a Tele or a Les Paul in their head. And they try to make everything those 3 things. It's got to fit in one of those 3 boxes. And so they'll pick it up and they'll go, well, it's not one of these things. And they get confused by it until they see somebody competently and who's got, I think you've taken the time to explore the tones so much and the settings you like and the things you want it to do, that you're able to take it and show people like, oh, here's what it can be. you know, it doesn't have to fit into one of these neat little boxes of what these three sounds are. It's its own thing, and you can take it pretty far and do a bunch of stuff with it. And I think that's one of the cool things is like you've taken the time to actually explore the things that guitar does, which it does a bunch of stuff pretty well. And I think that's kind of what that demo really shows for me is like you can build a lot of things with this. You can build a lot of sounds with it. And like somebody earlier had mentioned Daria Musk in the comments, and she's somebody who uses that guitar a lot too. And like that's another kind of use case of, yeah, you can build a bunch of different sounds with this that are really interesting, and you don't have to like limit yourself by like, oh, I only play guitars, or oh, I only play these things that fit in these boxes. There's so much more out there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic instrument. It's interesting. It's one of those. I think the Daria quote is, the T5Z is to a guitarist like a laptop is it to a producer. Like the amount of stuff that's in the box that you can do with the T5Z. And, you know, sometimes we've done content with Daria that was like, what are Daria's 3 favorite settings or 2 favorite settings? If you have a T5, not every guitar is going to do everything that you want it to do, right? Like, I mean, let's talk about a different brand. If you want a Strat, it's going to, you know, you're not going to buy a Tele, right? Or if you want a Strat, you're not going to buy a Les Paul. It's not going to do exactly the same thing. Yeah, you could mimic some pickups and change some things out to get it close, but it's not going to do that. But this one it's special. It's cool. It's interesting. And again, it might not be for everything you do. It might just be a studio guitar. It's the easy, you don't have to plug it in. You can still, you know, it's loud enough to sit on the couch and jam out on it and write some stuff. It's a spectacular instrument. I do, Mike, want to walk through, your turn, Mike. What has changed on the new guitar? What is the new update? So we have 3 colors of the T5Z Pro, and then we have the T5Z Custom Koa. What is new about those instruments?
Well, let's start with the colors and let's go backwards. So the T5Z Custom remains a shaded edge burst Koa top guitar. That didn't change. What also didn't change on any of these guitars is the functionality. They all still have 3 pickups within the guitar itself. The pickup that's underneath the fingerboard extension, the stacked single coil pickup that you see looks like a lipstick pickup, and then the body sensor. Now again, that pickup underneath the fingerboard extension and the body sensor, that came out of our ES1 system, and the other pickup is there to give you a little more grind and grit, and a little more snap, especially in third position when it sounds more like a Tele. So the functionality of the guitars has not changed. The colors changed on the Pro, and the Pro is a maple top guitar. So you're going to get now a Tobacco Sunburst, which did exist, Harbor Blue, and a Cayenne Red. And those are really cool colors. But one thing that changed on all of them as far as the construction of the guitar is that they are now all urban ash bodies as opposed to Sapele. And why? Well, because of the urban ash being denser, we were able to actually route it out more and therefore make it lighter and still have the same structural integrity. So the guitar, while light as it was in its original inception, is actually lighter now. It actually feels more comfortable to play, and it's still well balanced. The other thing you'll notice when you're holding the guitar is that there's an armrest that's now incorporated into the construction of the guitar. Now, it's not a carved armrest, it's a bent armrest. So what they do is they train the wood on the lower bout, on the west side of the lower bout, if you're looking at it that way, and they train it downward, so it creates an angle, much like you would find on, as we were joking about earlier, shredder guitars, that you find that a lot. It's a lot more comfortable to play for a great place to rest your arm. Of course, that's why it's called an armrest, but your forearm, your elbow, it's just a more comfortable playing position in general. And because of that, it has a little bit more of an arched top overall, which gives a little bit of a different resonance. So you're going to get slightly different tonality out of these guitars because they respond differently because of how the top is made and laid on top of the guitar. Those are all really cool features. There is one more thing that changed on these guitars, and we talked about it before, the positioning of come on, let's say it, guys, knobs. The knobs have moved down to the lower bout of the instrument as opposed to the upper bout. It used to be sort of in the same position where you would find the toggle switch on a Les Paul, right? But now we have it in a more familiar area on the lower bout. We've removed one of the F-holes. It took place of one of the F-holes, and these guitars only have one F-hole now. And those knobs are now in a position where, at least from my perspective, and Mark, you could speak of it in practice, they're more in a position now to where you can change things on the fly a lot easier and a lot more consistently, like you would with your other electric guitars. Would you agree with that portion of it?
Absolutely, because as a guitar player, your hand electric guitar player, you're always reaching down and adjusting your volume knob. So the nice part about that was just being able to play it and just do what I would normally do without thinking about it. When I play a T5, typically I have to remind myself, where the knobs were located. And I would do that, again, night after night, doing T5 demos and roadshows years ago. I was pretty rehearsed with that. But taking, the whole pandemic time, I haven't done a lot of T5 stuff. It was interesting to go back and go, okay, wait, and in fact, currently I've got an older T5. I still have one. And I have to go and play with those knobs. Well, doing this the other day when we were doing the shoot, it was really nice to just be able to go in and have the knobs where you expect them to be. The only thing, and it's not a bad thing, it's the thing I had to remind myself, is the T5 has a 6 decibel volume boost on the volume knob. So when you reach the volume, you got to remember to go to the click spot. And that's a small thing you have to get used to as an electric guitar player, because you can overshoot it. And I did that once or twice doing the video shoot. And I'm like, why has this got more? Oh, yeah, it's got that 6 decibel boost, which is really freaking great if you know it's there. It's kind of if you don't know it's there and you forget, you might overshoot it. That's the only thing. It's not bad. It's actually it's an upgrade. It's a nice thing to have the volume, but you got to remember it's there. And going between acoustic and electric, that is something you got to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely something when you can even parallel it with the ES2 expression system, right? When we talk about the treble and bass on those systems, when it's at that center detent, that's 0. And you either go to 0 to -6, 0 to +6. If you look at the volume, when it's at that center detent, that it's 10. And you have 6 more, you can think of it that way. And that way you can convince the sound guy that he's doing great. And then when he walks away, you just turn it up a little bit more.
Absolutely. That's exactly how that works. It's a beautiful thing.
Good. Yeah, it's not the traditional 0 to 10 that people are used to. It's like -6 to 0 and then +6 above it. And you have to remember that.
But it's interesting because when you know that's there, I think if you go back and watch,
good, Mike.
So good. That was the best explanation I've heard of.
That was. We need to write that down. Hold on, Curlin.
Yeah,
we need to write that down.
Good thing we're recording this.
Yeah,
that's
for all the sound guys that are watching. Yes,
we got to remember that happened at 42 minutes and 3 seconds.
One other thing while I'm on the topic, and we talk about the video that Mark made, and he used Fractal Audio products, and we've been talking about this in several episodes. The last one with Bandrew, when we were comparing, modeling mics versus modeling guitar amplifiers. Mark and I are both Fractal Audio fans,
as am I.
As you are. So the fact is, you mentioned it before, Jay, about recording. How versatile these guitars are. I could sit here, and I have sat here in front of this computer with my Fractal Axe Effects and a T5Z and not had to get up and go to the bike rack of guitars to get different tones. Everything is right there. I could change the amp. I could change the guitar essentially by switching position. And Mark proved that in the video. And that is the most endearing quality I feel of the T5Z, again, is being able to have all those things on the fly. And now that you can change your tonality on the fly on top of it in live situations, it's even more versatile.
It's really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because, there are so many different modeling, we'll call them situations or pieces of technology, right? The Fractal stuff is something I'm way more familiar with too. There's some good Line 6 stuff, obviously. The Kemper, a lot of people love the Kemper. It's just like an acoustic guitar, right? Some people may be into rosewood, some might be into mahogany, right? We'll talk about GS Minis in a few minutes here, and we'll vote on it, and people will be like, I like this one better than that one, etc. With all these systems, right? There's stuff that some of us like better than others. We're not saying go out and buy a Axe Effects or a Fractal something, right? We're just saying it's what we enjoy.
Actually, I am saying that. I think go out and buy a
tubes and
Fractal.
pedals.
I would too. All right, right. So like we're not being told to say this, but we're saying to me, apples to apples, Axe Effects, all the Fractal stuff is fantastic. But with that being said, and with a lot of live music now in ears, it allows bands to have less stage volume, which then also expands the T5Z to being able to control it in a higher gain situation live a little bit better. If you don't have a monitor ringing, if you don't have a monitor ringing into that guitar, you can rip just like Mark did, right? Even if you get a little genty or chuggy or palm muty with some distortion and some sort of modeling amp situation, I would say Axe Effects is my vote.
You're touching on such an important thing about all the audio, the modeling stuff, and that is one for recording. I literally just set my FM9 up so that I can have simply my MacBook, open up Logic Pro. I've got extra disk drive. It's got Superior Drummer in there. And I'm using my FM9 as my audio interface, and I can record literally radio quality tracks. I guarantee you 99.9% of people that listen to it, you can't tell me that it's not a mic amp. You can't do it. I can't do it. There's no way. Now, I know I watched the Sean Tubbs stuff, who's one of my favorite guitar players. And of course, all the real stuff is great, but you have volume. Those things don't sound great unless they are really loud and mic'd properly. Yeah. Or you're running it through a universal audio aux box. And even then, now you're taking away from some of that volume. At the end of the day, if you can embrace technology a little bit, I know a lot of people are scared of it or don't want to do it, or they think I'm not, I've had so many people tell me I'm not techie. I don't get it. But if you can just embrace the fundamentals of the technology that's out there, digital, in my opinion, has totally arrived. And you couple something like a Kemper or a Fractal, and you throw it with a T5, the T5, somebody's going to say, you guys talked about earlier, it's not replacing your favorite Strat. We've always said that, your Les Paul. But it really is. It's 90% your electric guitar. It goes 90% to what your favorite electric guitar is going to do. And does its own thing. 90% to your favorite acoustic guitar plugged in or mic'd. I mean, in a live situation. It does it all really, really well. It does it organically, which I love. And you run that into something like a Fractal, where you get the effects you want, the EQ you want, and the modeling you want for the electric side. When I did the video, the clean stuff I did on that video, I just turned everything off on the Fractal. I was just running through the Fractal I had a slight bit of EQ. I think I dipped a little bit of the mid-range a little bit because I like that more scooped kind of rosewood vibe. And then I can't remember if we put reverb on it, Boosty and I, or if he put the reverb after the fact. But it's pretty much flat, and it has just a great acoustic sound. So my encouragement to people that watch this show is seriously embrace the technology that's out there.
Embrace the technology.
It's affordable. You can play. You could sound like you're playing at the freaking Staples Center at 2:00 in the morning in your bedroom, and you're not bugging anybody, and it sounds that good.
Gabe,
we've come a long way since the Line 6 Pod Farm.
Yeah, totally,
for sure, absolutely.
Gabe, it was hilarious when we were doing the D2C, when we were doing the PDP suite, the demos for the T5 stuff. Everybody in the production crew were so used to having to remain silent.
That's right.
Because we don't want anything to be picked up in the mic. And Mark a couple of times was like, "Hey, dummies, it's not being mic'd. You can't." Anyway, which leads me to Mark's point of embracing technology. If it's someone mentioned a Helix, Fractal, choose what you like. We like what we like. But for example, if there's any Blink-182 fans here, their production right now is 100%. Well, I can't say 100% because there's three of them, and you're obviously going to hear acoustic drums if they're not mic'd. But there is no guitar stage volume, none, and there's no bass stage volume because they're running Fractal off the stage, and their guitar rig is literally next to the guitar techs. So both of them have the rigs right next to them, and they're just running. They have nothing on stage. It's all in ear. And so the only thing, if you were to mute the crowd and you're say just play, the only thing you would hear are the acoustic drums. So that gives the ability for the front of house guy to just go for it. So now more than ever, T5Z is a fantastic instrument to pick up for many different situations. Wow,
think
we just nerded out a little bit.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I think even as a guy who loves tube amps and pedals and all that stuff,
Me too.
That said, I think the progression of modeling has gotten so good, and I've maintained like Jay, you've heard me say this a million times. One of my all-time favorite amps to this day, still have a little special place in my heart, is like the Line 6 Flex Tone 3. It's a great amp. That amp still sounds so good. But from 50 feet away, when you're in the crowd, you can't tell the difference if it's a tube amp or if it's like you have no idea. And on a record,
solid state or tube or
if you're the guitar player and you're the person physically doing it in the room, you can tell. I don't think anyone else can. I don't think you can on a record. I don't think you can from the crowd. Like, that's just not true. So I think there's a lot to be said for it. And even there's plenty of good down market stuff too, even if you don't have the budget for a Fractal or Helix. Even like Yamaha, the THR series, they've made some great stuff in there. Like, don't sleep on Yamaha. They own Line 6, and so they've ported some of that tech over, and there's some pretty good like down market stuff you can buy on a budget. That's
what's cool also is that it's is it bias positive grid?
Yeah.
Hey,
dude,
Mom.
I bought the $150 version of that plugin, and I've used it on my internet show probably 30 times, where I've even shown the interface and done the whole thing.
Mark just said Javier Baez. Just saying, throwing that out there.
Baseball nerddom.
Anyway, don't sleep on technology.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page here. Don't sleep on it. Don't be afraid of it.
Don't sleep on the new T5Zs.
Don't sleep on the new T5Zs. It's a spectacular instrument. We're going to move on now. We're going to
really quickly, Jay. I just want to make one more. I'll make a very quick salient point here. We were going to move on, but we're not, because I'm going to make a salient point.
Sassafras is fun to say. I get it.
Is. Yes.
Okay, go.
We were talking about this again when we were talking about this with Bandrew about, I brought up the analogy of pizza, right? And I'm from New York. I'm a New York pizza snob, right? And when I go anywhere else, I can't compare it to New York pizza because that would be doing it a disservice. Probably it's already at a disadvantage, right? But do I like it? And that's what matters most. I like that flavor, and it has its part in the culinary universe. And the same thing with modeling amplifiers, and the same thing with T5Z, comparing it to a Strat or a Tele or a Les Paul, right? You can't really compare it to a Strat or a Tele or a Les Paul. You could say it sounds in that vein, but if you think you're going to get a 57 Strat sound out of it, you're not. You're not. But do you like it? That's what matters, because it makes its own unique take on it, and it sounds great. So, and you could do all of that in one thing in your lap, which makes it even better. So that's just the point I wanted to bring up.
And I know Jay's Chicago said, you guys, 10 seconds, man, make a pitch for Chicago pizza versus New York pizza.
Absolutely not. My 10 seconds is nope. New York all day long. I can't do Chicago pizza. I can't do it.
All right.
I can't do it. Yes. Chicago and New York pizza is unique.
All I'm saying is Cleveland pizza. No, I'm just kidding.
Dana Point, California pizza, man.
Yeah, so good, right? You know what's really funny, Gabe?
Lake Erie water.
El Segundo pizza.
This is where I'm going to laugh at Detroit. Like, there are people who are like, Detroit pizza is the best. And I'm like, maybe my mom never took me to the right Detroit pizza place, but anyway, it's interesting. So I can't with the Chicago thing. I don't want to eat an entire loaf of bread. I can't. Oh, Lou Malnati's. Okay, yeah. Here's the deal. Thin crust, square cut Chicago pizza is semi-okay, but you can't trust me with pizza because I've been eating cheeseless pizza for a very long time. So don't with me and pizza. Partial to Greek pizza.
I've had Turkish pizza in Turkey, and it was fantastic.
Okay,
but it's its
well,
own
now
thing.
that we've been talking
no
about
sauce on it, it's just olive oil and cheese and vegetables. It was awesome.
Now that we've been talking for 54 minutes and 17 seconds about some other stuff, and then T5Z Pros and T5Z Custom Koa, let's move on to Jay Gross. I like when look at Jay Gross.
So good.
I should change my name to Jay Gross.
I think he played for the Brewers in the late 70s.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's do that. We're not going to get on Wisconsin. I told you before the show, I learned about this like Wisconsin old fashioned.
No, don't go back to this
where
again.
they like splash Coke or like Sprite in it or
Sounds
or something like that.
Let's
It's
just move on.
It's so wrong.
Yeah,
It sounds
it
so
was-
bad. Let's just move on.
Okay, we're gonna move that on. Okay, move on to that. Let's talk about GS Minis. So I want to play a this or that game. So here are the demos that I have. We have like 30 to 40-second demos of different people playing the GS Minis. Some of them you've seen before on the show, but so forgive us, you're going to watch again. Here's what we're going to demo. We're going to demo a GS Mini E Rosewood, a GS Mini E Rosewood Plus. We'll talk about what the difference is in a minute. A GS Mini E Koa, GS Mini E Koa Plus. We'll also talk about the differences. And then a GS Mini Mahogany. Cool? I'm into this game. We're going to do a little demo and talk about what we heard a little bit. And then at the end, we'll do a this or that. Okay? Yeah, that's my game. I like it. Deal with it, guys. Here we go. GS Mini E Rosewood demo. Okay, you're on a budget, you need to buy a guitar, you're going into the recording studio, you're playing shows, you're going to the beach, you're camping, you're traveling, you fly a lot, all the different scenarios of these instruments. How do you guys feel about that particular guitar? Gabe, you go.
I mean, I think I've said this a million times. Jay said it a million times. Everybody should have a GS Mini. It's a great guitar to have. It's so, especially like as we're going into summertime and I'm thinking about like traveling and stuff like that. It's a fantastic guitar to just have to take around. You can do anything with it. You can if you want to go visit a friend or you're traveling somewhere else and somebody's like, let's go play an open mic or whatever. It's such an easy guitar to just have around all the time. And that's what I love about it. Rosewood to me, you know, I feel like you're getting a lot of like nice chimey top end off that. You know, pretty classic GS Mini sound. Jay, you're muted.
Why did I do that?
I don't know, man.
I went back like 17 episodes. And by the way, we did 94 things. It's pretty exciting.
Yes.
That is exciting.
94 shows. Okay.
94.
Mike, how do you feel about it?
I think that guitar can do most anything that you want it to do. The only thing that it can't do is be as loud as an 818E. You know, there's physics involved. But in a studio, that doesn't matter. You know, and if you're at a campfire, it doesn't matter. And when you're plugged in, it doesn't matter. Is it going to give you the same resonance as a larger guitar? Maybe not. But at the same time, is it going to fulfill most everything you need most of the time? Absolutely. They're versatile. They're great for songwriting. Like Gabe said, it's around. You know, it's there. You pick it up, you play it. Next thing you know, you got a riff, and like Marc Seal just wrote a song in like a minute and a half.
I say ultimate couch guitar. Know? Okay, we say they get it. We know we've got people over here who have 4 GS Minis. They're fantastic. So I think what we should do is play this or that with the guest. So I'm now going to play, Mark. I'm going to play the GS Mini E the GS Mini E Rosewood Plus, which is all gloss finish, right?
The first and only all gloss GS Mini.
Yeah, so it's the first and only all gloss GS Mini, and it has an ES2 pickup in it. But of course, these are mic'd, so the pickup really doesn't matter for these demos. So I'm going to go in here and play this, Mark, and we're going to play a game of this or that after you hear it. I'll play the other one too if you need to back it back. Here we go. it's so good. Hold on, I'm playing the other one real quick. All right, that's enough. You heard both.
That's plenty, yeah. This or that. I'm going to go with the second one.
Okay.
The
Why
second
is
one,
that?
but overall, the glossy one.
Yeah.
It has just a more organic. The other one sounds a little bit fuller, and obviously it's different players, different styles. I get that. The first one sounded a little more full and more kind of traditional. That guitar sounded way more what I'm into right now and what I'm doing musically, writing, playing. And it's just this organic vibe. I don't even know how to put words on it, but I will tell you that I'm currently in this band. It's my wife, myself, and another couple, her best friend and her husband is my best friend.
Mark's in ABBA.
Yeah, we're right. We're called the Merry Yahtzees, actually. And we spend a lot of time playing on my friend's boat. The point is, it's all mashups, but that guitar has that vibe. There's that organic. You just pull it out. It sounds aged to me. The other one sounds big, a little bigger, but that sounded aged. And again, I'd like to see the same player on both guitars. That would be a huge benefit to know really what they sound like. But the vibe of that second one, there's something just really cool about that. Really liked it a lot.
All right, here we're going to do this or that. And the first one is going to be a GS Mini E Koa. The second one's going to be a Koa Plus. Here we go with the GS Mini E Koa. As she jazzes the crap out of it. It's so good. All right, here's the Koa Plus. Also, Daniel's all like, come on, Daniel.
Disclaimer, neither guitar will make you sound like Dr. Molly Miller or Daniel Ferrer.
Yes, that is true. However, we could play this or that. So let's talk about the GS Mini Koa. You guys are very familiar with that. The Koa Plus has a shaded edge burst. It comes with an arrow case, right, Mike? And then it has the ES2 as well. But of course, those are both mic'd. They will not make you sound like Daniel or Dr. Molly. Forget about that right now. Check that at the door. Mark, if you had to play this or that, which one would it be?
Definitely the first one. It sounded way more present. It sounded like I was right there. The other guitar sounded a little more distant. And again, it's two different players, so it makes it challenging to say. But the way she was playing the first one, it was just right. I was there with her. Second one, I felt like I was a little bit removed, not from his playing by any stretch, just the sound of it a little bit sounded. I felt further away from it. It just didn't feel as present.
We should blame Gabe because he.
No, I love this. I love
Gosh,
this comment.
darn it, Gabe!
I love this comment. Players matter.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great. Yeah,
that's
was a great
that
comment.
bone
and
tone we talk about. We talk
Yeah.
about that tonality of the player. That is such a great example, Gabe. I'm glad you pulled that up. All right, we got one more, and we don't have two. We have one. So we're going to play a game of this or this. Okay?
I'll pick this.
You only get one choice, and there's only one guitar. So this one. But I want to talk about it as a whole, and it is Mr. Tim Godwin playing a GS Mini E Mahogany.
All right.
2 words. Air supply. Okay. 2 words. First of all, I just wanted to show Godwin off just a little bit. He's one of the most tasteful
Crushing.
players. He is a crusher on a guitar, and it's so weirdly effortless for him. He does that little like thing. Anyway, we all like that. So this or this, you have to pick mahogany in this one. But I wanted to throw mahogany in the whole bunch. So now you listen to all of them, Mark.
Yeah.
Which one sticks out the most? So you got rosewood, rosewood plus, which is the all gloss rosewood.
Yep.
Excuse me. You have koa, koa plus, which is the shaded edge burst, and then you have mahogany.
Okay,
Which
first
one?
thing, yeah.
which
First thing
one
we
do
just
you
gotta say
take?
how rad Tim is. First, I haven't seen Tim in a while. I love Tim. I've known, Tim and I worked a lot together. Love that guy. Great feel, great tone. Everything was awesome there. But I think that the Rosewood Plus and the Koa, or by the two of them, were the two that really stood out where I sat there. And with Tim, the playing stood out. It's just so comfortable and relaxed. But the Rosewood Plus, really good. And I might say the Koa, just straight up Koa, was, and these AirPods right here, right now, that was probably what did it for me tonight.
Gabe, what's your choice?
Man,
It's so hard because here's the deal. Here's the agenda, ladies and gentlemen watching. Everyone needs a GS Mini. A. B. Everyone needs all of those GS Minis. C. What I said already. So everyone needs a GS Mini, man. Go, Gabe. Your turn.
I'm gonna go with the Koa Plus.
Yeah.
Couple of reasons.
Tell us.
I love.
Well, you'll tell us.
I will. I love the sound of the Koa and mahogany quite a lot. I tend to love those GS Minis the best. The Koa Plus, though, because it comes with an Aero case and you're getting ES2, you can literally, again, have that as your couch guitar, sitting at home writing songs in the morning. You can toss it on your back and ride your bike to your band practice, and then go play a show with it that night. You can literally do everything. Go on a hike with it during the day, and then go play a show with it that night. And it's gonna sound great in all those respects. It's gonna sound great on stage and look cool. I think there's a lot of value in that guitar.
Do you know how many people, when you go into an airport, also when you have that case?
I know, it's
So
like
How many
Current-
people stop you? Like, dude,
Okay.
I've actually been that guy where I see people with that case. Like,
All
hey,
the
man,
time.
I work with Taylor. I know those guys. It's
Yep.
like the best.
I do it all the
love
time.
I got a friend he's a touring DJ and a pretty big touring DJ. Yeah, I'll leave his name out of here, but he is a
Shaquille
Taylor
O'Neal.
player.
You'll
And
keep his name out of
Shaquille
your
O'Neal.
mouth. Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, totally. Could you
DJ
see
Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal
It's
with a
DJ
GS
Shaq.
video? It would have been awesome.
Have you
Shaq
guys seen him
Diesel.
DJ? He's awesome.
Shaq
Yeah,
Diesel,
he's fun. He's a party rocker, man.
Could
for
you
sure.
see him with a GS Mini?
I know it would be so.
It would look
awesome.
like a
It's like
uke. Victor
It's-
Wembanyama, or whatever his name is.
What's his name? I'll think of his name. I toured with that band Lagwagon, and
wow.
in Europe for a while. And the guitar player in that band is like the same size as Shaquille O'Neal. So he plays a Les Paul, and it looks like a mini, like a uke or something. Anyway, GS Mini. The genius behind the case is like ultimate. Like this precedes me being here. I didn't design this case. I wasn't here when this happened. I showed up at Taylor, and there's this like, first of all, the color is, to me, totally random, but so smart, right? You see that thing from anywhere. Anyway, so I got this DJ friend who's like, I'm going to just make content for you guys where when I'm at the airport and I see the 5 people I see on any given day traveling with one of those on their back, I'm just going to go interview them. I think that would be spectacular content. Anyway, okay, Gabe, your choice is a Koa Plus. Mike, what's your choice?
Rosewood Plus.
Really?
It
Same
sounded
as Mark.
Yeah, it sounded. I mean, yes, Mark is right. It's
Mark
a
is
little
right.
bit difficult to tell because
my
you have
wife.
different players and there's different microphones, and we know that every microphone has its own characteristics, so on and so forth. But overall, that guitar sounded warmer. And I think that is partially due to it being all gloss. You have something that's dampening the sound a little bit, and that's what that extra finish will do. And Andy will tell you it's not necessarily the type of finish that's used, it's how much.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing with the 417 we talked about. There's slightly more.
Yeah.
So it kind of pushes the mids on that Grand Pacific body. Yes, you can carry them on, and they fit in the overhead bin. And in fact, if you have a bandmate, two of them fit.
Yep.
Now, you might frustrate people just a little bit because they're like, "Whose guitar is this?" And then they throw a fit, and next thing you know,
what I did doing road shows? I was carrying those things around, and it worked. Honestly, go in and just be super cool to the flight attendants. Walk in, be super cool, and say, "Hey, any chance I can put this in the first class closet?" And I've had my GS Mini at least 20 or 30 times in all the years I traveled with those things in the first class closet, and
you know
no problem. And they were always super cool about it.
You know what the other move there is like Starbucks gift cards. Like carry a couple of $5 or $10 Starbucks gift cards.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like that.
I've split those to a flight attendant before.
That is that ultimate touring thing. Yep, it's the ultimate touring thing. You walk in, you'd be like, "Hey, can you hook me up?" And anybody like, hey, look, I don't drink.
They're so used
Starbucks,
to people being terrible to them.
Yeah,
that being nice to them goes a long way. And officially, Jade, Mike and I were on a thread earlier talking about this. Officially, if there's room in the overhead bins when you get on the plane, they have to let you take an instrument on the plane. Yep. Period.
But we need to take that one step further. We need to take that one step further, though. That is 100% true. They don't have to let you put it in the closet, and they will only let you put it in the closet if there's room for it to sit on the floor. You can't put it on top of their luggage, right, Mark? Because I know you know this drill.
Just put it back and stand it up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it needs to be touching the floor. And then as far as the overhead, yes, if there is room and it can fit, it can go in the overhead. What they don't have to do is make room for it.
Right.
So that's why it always benefits you. If you're going to be traveling with a guitar, get one of those get on early passes, or,
that was the next point.
Yes, you just do that, because then you're just like, I already put it up. It already happened. I just, sorry.
Just a little touring. Just a little touring.
It happened. It can't unhappen now.
I can't. It's there. I'm sorry. It's part of the plane.
Dude, you were so George Costanza right there. That is awesome.
Just a little touring hack, Delta. That I'm just going to throw that out there.
Delta, 100%.
100% Delta.
1,000%.
We fly with a lot of camera equipment. They understand more than any other airlines for sure.
And it's not even close.
It's not even close. So just throw that out there. We all know it has happened in the past on United, but United broke my guitar. So anyway,
I've had a lot of good luck with Southwest.
Southwest isn't bad, but Delta is like, they're like, they see you coming from a mile away, and they almost raise their hand and say, "I'll help."
Yeah,
we'll get you. We'll handle it. Anyway, okay, so there's our GS Mini plug. Really fantastic instrument for everything you need.
Awesome for summertime.
I think it was John who mentioned he had those Koa and Koa Plus. Now I have a GTE Urban Ash, also a spectacular guitar. If you want an all solid wood, smaller scale guitar, the GT is, how we all feel about the GT. I mean, the 811 is by all means one of the best guitars we've ever made here at Taylor Guitars. I love it. The Urban Ash guitars are fantastic. I love them too. But GS Minis, everyone needs at least one. Mom, like 6. We need like 6. Anyway, okay, we brought them on to talk about guitar care. So I'm going to dive into guitar care just a little bit, because we have a platinum tech. What are you, Gabe? Do you know? You have to remember.
Didn't you establish he was frankincense?
I'm pretty sure I was silver before I stopped. I no longer have an active bench, and I don't walk on guitars anymore, but I still try to keep up on things. I actually talked to Rob a while back and was like, "Hey, I really want to go through the online training again sometime, just to stay current," because I do answer a lot of questions in the Taylor Owners group on Facebook. So I intend to do that at some point when I have some time, just to stay fresh.
Yeah. Okay. But you can help us with some guitar care, right?
I can help.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the thing we hate to talk about, and that's humidity. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. We love to talk about
We'd love to
humidity.
talk about it.
So, Gabe, if you will, walk us through some best practices on the humidity side.
So easy best practice. Get a digital hygrometer. Keep it in your room where your guitars live, near the guitars. Keep your guitars between 45 and 55% is kind of the sweet spot. Anywhere between 40 and 60 is okay. I actually have two of these. I have the old version of the Taylor hygrometer too. This one kind of lives on top of the shelf so I can see it from the doorway. But keep your guitars in that humidity range. Just make sure they're living there. I'm in Ohio where it's really humid during the summers. My studio is in my basement, finished basement, so I have a dehumidifier back here that you can see that runs all the time. It's off now because we're doing this, but just to help keep the guitars in the right humidity range. If they're not, one of the first things that you can see happen when guitars are exposed to high humidity is high action. And a lot of times people will talk about guitars getting high action during the summer months. And I'll see people talk about it a lot on the owners group. Oh, my guitar action's getting high. What should I do? Should I file down the saddle? Or
I have a question. Some people, my mom, don't know what action on a guitar is. Some people, forgive us if you already know what this is, but I want to get a little bit elementary. So action, by action, you're talking about the string height off the fingerboard, correct?
yes, action is. Sorry, I'm opening a case. I think of action more as a loose term that means playability. String height is its own thing. It's measurable, right? Neck relief is measurable, and there are a bunch of things that factor into that. Humidity is a big one. So quick demonstration. And this is a demonstration I've done. If you're in the Taylor group, you've seen me do this before. So we have my GT Urban Ash that I love and play all the time. The body, of course, wood that has too much moisture in it will swell. Like if you have solid wood doors around your house or furniture, like doors start sticking in the summer times, that's because they're too swollen with humidity, right? So what happens with a guitar when it has too much moisture in it is the wood swells, and when the wood swells, the bridge is raising up with the top and taking the strings with it. So you'll start getting high action on your guitar. Guitar will often also sound kind of muddy as that happens. So yeah, humidity totally affects guitars, and it's really important to constantly monitor humidity so that you know what's going on, so that you know what you need to do, if anything. So I know based on this whether or not my dehumidifier needs to be on. And I try to keep mine 45-50% is where I kind of live down here in the studio. So that's a huge thing. Monitoring humidity is a great place to start. In the summertime, dehumidifying is often necessary in a lot of parts of the country. If you live in California, you probably don't need to that often.
Gehumidifying.
Gehumidify?
Gehumidify.
Well, let's talk about this. Check this out. So I told you that I've got this.
I just saw that.
band.
That's anyway. You guys are great.
I
You're
told
my
you
favorite
that.
people.
Yeah.
You're my third favorite people.
You guys are hilarious. So I play on this boat, right? So we have a GS.
Is that what you're on right now?
Yeah, where
know.
are you?
He's in the North Woods.
I'm at the Kardashians right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, anyways. So on the boat, though, literally, we've got a GS Mini. It lives on the boat, and there's a dehumidifier. And literally, with every 4 days, that thing's got to be emptied because it's just sucking in tons of water, obviously, from being on the water. And the GS Mini down there, it stays perfect because that room has a hygrometer in there. We keep it just under 50, and it stays perfect. If we did not, though, if there was not a dehumidifier, that thing would just be, it would be swollen. It'd be like, bad.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be, a mess all the time. And again, something I see a lot in summer times. I'll get I'll see a lot of questions. You'll even hear guitar players about having like summer saddles and winter saddles. A lot of times, like as a guitar tech, I would hear that. Oh, it's time to switch out and put in my summer saddle, which is a saddle that had been filed down as low. No, you just need to control humidity, and your guitar will be fine all the time. And it's really easy to do. I talk about guitar care a lot and humidity a lot, but I don't really do anything terribly special for my guitars. I keep these in the room and monitor humidity, and I either dehumidify during the summer or add some humidity sometimes during the winter. I don't even have to that often. That's literally it. I change strings. Like I have I've quite a collection of Taylors going back into the early 2000s and beyond, and most of them have never had major work done to them at all. Like my 514 from like 2005 went 15 years with no neck angle adjustment because all I do is this. Like it's really straightforward. So when we talk about summer guitar care, like simple things like that go a long way. The other big thing I always tell people is have like polish cloth around. Like if you're playing outside a lot, keep microfiber cloths handy. Wipe your guitar down when you're done playing.
Oh my goodness, please, people. I can't stress this enough.
Sweat all over it, wipe it off.
Former guitar tech, like just wipe your guitar off before you put it in the case. Yeah. Like
wipe it off.
Always
wipe the back of your neck so it doesn't turn into a gloss neck.
Every time you play. It's a very simple thing. It will save a lot of stuff. It will save those oils from your fingers that kind of ruin strings sometimes. Yep. It's a good thing to do. You can just wipe your guitar down. That's a really good call, Gabe. Is there anything else on the cleaning side that you would suggest?
I like, I've gotten really into, if you have gloss finish guitars, a good guitar polish, Taylor makes a nice one. Music Nomad makes nice ones. A bunch of people do. But if you have satin guitars, there isn't anything better than I've found than Taylor's satin guitar cleaner.
It's really, am I correct in saying it's really the only one?
It's the only satin cleaner I know of.
Oh, satin cleaner. It is the only satin cleaner on the market that's on the market, period. It doesn't have any waxes in it. It literally takes the dirt and wax off a guitar. It removes oils from the guitar. What it won't do is restore satin finish once.
Where'd it go?
If you're playing...
did he stop?
Yeah, no, I had a hiccup.
He's like, what it won't do is...
That was
all right, great. Well, I'm glad I left you guys in suspense. That was my internet. It hiccuped here. Sorry about that. But what it won't do is
he'll do anything for love, but
but it won't do that. No, what it won't do is it's not going to restore a satin finish once a part of the guitar has been glossed. So if you've been rubbing your forearm on the top of a satin guitar or on the neck and it starts to gloss up, you can't restore that back. That's literally taking whatever finish is on there and buffing it out.
That's just good wear. That's just character.
We call that love.
Opinion. Yeah, but if satin guitars get all shiny right where you put your arm,
If you don't have that, or the other thing you can do is just get a clean, fresh microfiber cloth and just lightly damp, just wipe it off. You just wipe all the dirt and oils off with a little bit of water. The cleaner does work better, I think, in terms of getting like oils and stuff off. But if you don't have that handy, just a lightly damp microfiber cloth is a great way to go.
Yep. Just don't use a polish.
No. Oh my gosh.
Use the polish.
Somebody specifically asked about yesterday. This happened. Somebody specifically asked about silent satin finish, and someone in the comments was like, "Pledge is the best thing ever." And I was like, "No,
what?
Don't do Pledge.
It's not a banister."
Yeah, man. It's not. That's furniture polish. What are you doing? No, just a damp microfiber cloth. Good clean one that you just use for guitars. Don't
clean it.
Don't buff your car.
Clean it.
Don't use Pledge. Don't use Minwax. Don't use Windex. Don't use something that's made for the tool that you're cleaning, right? Use the satin guitar cleaner on satin guitars. Use the gloss on gloss. You can use the satin guitar cleaner on a gloss finish and take off any extra oils, and then use the polish to gloss it. That works really well. I've found that works really well. But use the right treatment for the right item, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are all great. Real easy ways to keep your guitars up for the summertime if you're playing outside.
There's one thing that's on Gabe's checklist. I know this because I've asked him what his checklist is before. There's one thing that's on his checklist that you can't leave. You can't forget to do. Before you clean your guitar, wash your hands.
Before you play your guitar, wash your hands.
Before you play your guitar,
Yeah.
wash your hands.
Wash your hands, man.
We learned in 2020 that if you wash your hands, you can keep some viruses away. But anyway, do the same thing for your guitar. Wash your hands before you clean them, before you play them, after you clean them, etc.
I did a bunch of videos for Elixir Strings a few months ago, and if you get a chance, go check them out. It's on their Instagram and on their YouTube. There's one about washing your hands. It's pretty freaking funny, but it's so true. And you watch it, and if you watch that video, you're like, you know what? It makes you want to wash your hands before you play guitar. It's
so important for a number of reasons, not the least of which is throughout your day, even just an hour of time, normal living, the amount of like dirt that gets on your hands and the amount of like oils and sweat that come out of your skin, and then you go put that all over your guitar. Like, go wash your hands. If you kind of get sweaty hands when you play a little bit. Some people get a little clammy. It will help
your guitar off when you're done and wash your hands.
It will help dry your hands out before you go to play. They'll be dried out a little bit so you won't get as much of that stuff on your guitar, and then wipe it off afterward. You'll keep your guitars nice way longer, like many more years.
Strings last way longer as well. And I think one of the keys to that, if you do have mildly sweaty hands at all, the thing to really do is use hand sanitizers, because the alcohol dries your hands out. Yeah. Use that before you actually play your guitar, or wear your strings nearly as much.
If you're LeBron James, rub some talc on there and then play your guitar.
Yes. But you're not.
Don't do
LeBron
that. I'm
James.
just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Not,
I just got to turn this into a sports.
I'm just going to do this for you, Jabe. But then if it doesn't go your way, totally quit and go to another guitar.
Go find a better. Go find a better band.
Get all the best guitar players in one band.
That's good. Bandrew had a good question. Of course, last week's guest is in the feed. Bandrew had if you live in the desert, is it safe to leave your guitar on the stand, or does it need to stay in the case with a humidipack? Look at that.
That's a great question, Bandrew. You know how is as you get a digital hygrometer and you put it in the room and you see what it says. If the room is staying between 45 and 55% humidity, then yes, it's safe. It's fine. If it's not, then put it in the case.
Right.
As a safety, I just tell everybody by default to store your guitar. If you're done for the day, aside from my electrics, curious there's no T5Zs up there. If you're done for the day, put your guitar in its case. Like, just put it in the case. If you're not going to pick it up and play again after lunchtime or whatever, put it in the case. Put it away. Like, that's just a really good policy to have. I'll hear people say, well, like, I just don't want to, I'm much more likely to just walk by it and I might not play as much. It takes 10 seconds to take out of the case, dude. Just don't be lazy. Put it in the case, get it out when you're ready to play again. But if you really do love to leave a guitar out, keep a hygrometer in the room and it will tell you if it's safe to leave it out. Easy.
Yeah, I think I'm being setting a bad example, because every week, I mean, you guys see like these guitars I just have all over the walls, and they're rippers.
They're shredders. It's not like you're going to go play a world tour with that pointy guitar.
It's not like I'm going to play a show in my kitchen. I'm not doing any of this. But the reason why I say that is because I do live in San Diego. I do have a hygrometer in my room, and it's like 45% humidity or 50% humidity virtually every day here. Yeah. So I can do this. That's why you do see them out on the wall or out on the stand or what have you. And I play them. But it's just stable here. If you're in an unstable environment, humidipacks are great, and put them in the guitar and in your case.
Yeah, there's a question here. Can my GS Mini Koa be stored with a humidifier or a humidipack in the soft case? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. These things are fantastic. It's licensed from Boveda. Boveda is the company that kind of created this. This is also not a sales pitch. I'm just telling you this is really basic guitar care, right? Throw your guitar. I mean, if you don't have a hygrometer in the room, so there's two schools of thought here. You could just do that all the time. Put your guitar in its case, put a humidipack in there, and your guitar is going to stay pretty good. But to Gabe's point, how do you know unless you have a hygrometer?
And
Right.
there's literally a humidipack in all of those cases for me too. The other thing I'll say though about humidipacks is they are great at maintaining humidity if the guitar is at the correct stable humidity. If a guitar has way too much moisture in it, they will not bring it down enough to correct it. They
Correct.
just don't have enough power because they're passively drawing. They do make high humidity humidipacks, but you're better off to just get a dehumidifier anyway because you shouldn't have that much humidity. Ken's talking about living in Georgia. Yeah, man, dehumidifiers rule. Same thing with in the wintertime, like if it's extremely dry where you live or something like that, they can't keep up eventually. So the best thing you can do is stabilize the area, and then I throw humidipacks in the case, but humidipacks will last me like a full year because I keep the room pretty stable. Here's another thing though that I love to talk about is I have TaylorSense on my phone here, and so
TaylorSense.
I
Hey,
can
real quick,
track.
can we real quick answer this
Yeah,
question?
this is a great question.
This is a fantastic question. So I have a hydrometer. I like that's
Hygrometer.
He means hygrometer.
Yeah,
I
it's
know, but
another
I want to
name,
call
but
it.
yeah.
That's awesome, actually. That would be a
Hydrometer.
great
Yep.
band name. Good band name. Good band name.
Yes.
Okay, back to the question.
Yes.
Yes, that's kind of what Gabe and everybody's been saying. If you keep the relative humidity percentage between 45 and 55, you should be pretty good. But it's
Yeah.
maintaining the atmosphere around your instrument is the most important scenario.
And the thing that you're saying here that gives me a nod that something that a step needs to be taken is you're saying it may average over time. This is how you know. What is it? Like, just look at it. If you look in there and it's between 45 and 55%, you're fine. Even if it's between 40 and 60, you're okay. Nothing bad's going to happen. If the guitar lives at 60% most of the time, it will swell. But as long as it kind of relatively stays between 45 and 55%, the guitar is totally going to be fine.
Real quick, I want to play a game of what not to do. We've heard all of the. One day, I wish I could have our entire customer service team on here, but they might explode. Okay, so I'm not probably going to do that. But one thing you do not do is. Actually, I'll rephrase that. Here's what you should do. Ask people who have experience doing it. Sometimes, but my friend said, might not be the subject matter expert, meaning a friend of yours who says you need to keep the relative humidity up in your guitar. So a good way to do that is to take it in the bathroom with you when you're taking a shower in the morning and steam it. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That shocks your guitar. That's like taking a brand new pair of cowboy boots and putting them in a bucket of water. It's just not a good look, right?
Yeah.
So
and
don't do things that are extreme, because there are really nice, easy methods to keep the humidity right.
There's a great story that I've told a million times, and I don't think I've told it on here, but I'm sure.
A million?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it's been
1 week. So, back in my music retail days, I had worked with somebody they wanted to get a really nice violin for their student, a high-end violin. And of course, one of the things I really talked to them a lot about was humidity care. Because you have a nice instrument, you really want to care for that nice instrument. And so I was explaining to them, get a digital hygrometer, a thing I say to everybody, and you really want to make sure it lives between here. And, we live in Ohio, it gets really dry in winters. And one of the first things that happened, of course, they went home and didn't listen. And the first thing that happened is they got a crack 6 months later. Sent it out, got it repaired, got it back to them, talked to them again about humidity. It's really important. During the winter time, during these months, these are the cold, dry months. We got to protect it against humidity and keep some, and I got them a violin humidifier, showed them how to use it, all that stuff. In the summertime, you won't need it. And then in the summertime, they were going away. And so the parent took the violin. They're worried about the humidity, and they took the violin and left the case open, and they put it in the basement with a big like 5-gallon bucket of water and a towel to wick the water out of it, and laid it over the violin, and it just swelled up and came apart.
Oh
The whole thing came
my.
apart. They destroyed it, and sent it out to a like specialty shop to be completely like rebuilt and stuff. But like big swings like that are terrible. Too much moisture can destroy an instrument the same way too little moisture can. Well, as easily as too little moisture can. Maybe not as fast. If you do have a guitar that's swollen with too much moisture,
Send it to California.
Send it to California. But getting a dehumidifier in the room, and then you can leave the guitar out while you run your dehumidifier and keep the room in the right zone. And that guitar will equalize over time. Passively, it will just equalize to the room. It will shed enough moisture to be stable and in the right zone. And then take it to a tech and have it, the neck angle adjusted or whatever needs done. But yeah, you see people try some odd things. Yeah, I've seen people use those like moisture buckets, like the moisture absorbing buckets you get from the hard. Don't use those.
Mark's like, or just play electric all the time.
Okay, it's
Gabe,
not a problem.
So you touched on TaylorSense. You guys are familiar with TaylorSense. It's a healthcare monitoring system for your guitars, to your 9-volt battery box.
Yep.
Taylor guitars. We have some video content about that. But
works
the one
great.
thing
I can go in and monitor my guitars. I can go in and check like the track you can't see it very well on here, but I can track the monthly humidity. It'll show me like where everything is. It'll check daily or hourly or whatever I want. And it'll even alert me if there's, you're outside of the optimum zone. You need to check this out.
That's fantastic. Let's real quick before we wrap this whole show up, because we've been talking for an hour, 37 minutes and 48 seconds. Traveling with your guitars in the summer. Do you have any tips or tricks or hacks for traveling with your guitars in the summer?
If you're traveling by car, don't put them under things. Don't leave them in the hottest part of the car, or don't stick them in a trailer with no air conditioning or something like that if you can. Don't leave them in a hot
like
vehicle.
A dog.
Treat it like a dog is a great tip, Mark.
If you see a guitar in a car with the windows rolled up, you break those windows. You call that cop. You say it's being abused.
Yep.
Don't do that, please. Yeah. I'm kidding.
If you wouldn't
do that.
Yeah, if you wouldn't put your dog or your kid there, don't put your guitar there. It's that simple, really, seriously. Because if you wouldn't put Roger there, don't put the guitar there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
makes perfect sense.
Sometimes in large touring bands, when you see them have huge coffin cases or big giant, cases for their guitars, they have humidity control in them. So just when you hear like big giant touring artists putting their guitars in trailers, it's because they're maintained already before they go in there. So
yeah, and the trailer often is too.
And the trailer, when it's a semi truck, it is. When it's just a 15-passenger van and a trailer, those usually aren't, but the cases are often treated before they go in.
That's another great argument for TaylorSense.
Darn tootin'.
That's another great argument for TaylorSense too, because TaylorSense can alert you if there's a
TaylorSense 2 spike. You know something we don't know?
I don't think so. Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo. What a fantastic film!
Because it can alert you if there's a big like temperature jump, or there's problems with humidity, or it gets banged into something or dropped. It'll alert you to those things. So I love it for all those reasons.
I love it. And Gabe, I didn't put it in this run of show, but something you sent in an email earlier when we were doing pre-production for the show is you sent a link about traveling with guitars on planes, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe we could take that link and throw it in the comments after the show.
Yeah, I can throw that in the comments.
That information. I think it's been helpful. I hope you guys have learned something. I'm sorry if we didn't answer all your questions. Will TaylorSense work with other brand guitars?
No, it replaces the unique shaped battery box in our guitars that have 9-volt batteries in the
I would
bottom.
show Gabe. I would
There
show
are- man.
everyone the.
I do have there are other products you can get. Like Music Nomad makes a humidifier that goes down in the strings that'll tell you the humidity reading inside your case. That won't alert you. But I think D'Addario even has a
D'Addario
system.
makes something like that.
Yeah, D'Addario has a system that will alert you if you're similar
I
to the
think
way
the
TaylorSense
D'Addario
works. But
system was also made by the same company or innovated by the same company that made ours, I believe.
yeah, so that's a little different. It uses a sensor in the guitar case too, instead of physically inside the guitar. It's also worth noting that the humidity physically inside the guitar, this is something I've heard people say a lot, is like, oh, my TaylorSense is reading different from my hygrometer, which is the case here. My TaylorSense right now, you can't see it, is reading 53% in my 814 CE, and this room is 45%. Why is that? Because the guitar and the case it's in are holding some moisture. So you do get a more accurate reading of the instrument this way. And I really like that about it, because even though I am maintaining this room at 45%, those guitars are holding a little extra moisture. And now I know that.
James has a fantastic point here. Yet another pro of the GS Mini, a little bit more tolerant in environmental changes. This is true. I mean, we use
layered guitars,
layered wood guitars are a little bit more tolerant.
Layered wood and smaller body guitars.
And smaller body guitars,
generally
for sure.
more stable.
That is a very, very good point. Thanks, James, for that. That was great. Somebody requested, John requested to hear Mark's clip again. So I think that before we end the show, I think we'll end on that and then say goodbye. Mike, I was wondering if you had a Mike's question for Marc Seal. Can you make one up on the spot?
Oh, yes. Oh, I totally can.
Which means he's been thinking about it for weeks, Gabe.
Do you want to be in Mike Venezia and the Window Smashers?
Time out. Before you ask that, Tobias wants to rock the boat. I disagree. Solid tops are still a concern. True. That's it. That's all we're going to give him. True.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Yeah, solid tops are still going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
The layered back and sides are still susceptible to humidity changes, but they are less so than solid back and sides.
Yep. It's a level of stability, not completely insulated from issue.
Yeah, it's not carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And yeah, the solid top definitely will still be. I mean, look at old Ovations as an example. They're all cracked because plastic doesn't flex and wood does.
And John Lord does just reinforcing the point I made before. TaylorSense will not work on 9-volt ESB pickups. It's only for battery box, only for 9-volt battery box guitars where the battery box is in the bottom of the guitar.
Right. Maybe we should show the clip.
Yep. And then I'll ask
Here's why I was trying to avoid showing the clip. You want to know why? Because, Mom, Gabe is wearing terrible clothing.
So good.
All right. We'll go for it. And he did it intentionally. So I think...
I did do this intentionally.
Mom, I think you and Gabriel can't be friends anymore. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Here we go.
Now that you've installed the TaylorSense Smart Battery Box in your 9-volt ES-equipped Taylor, the smartphone app will alert you if your guitar experiences certain issues, like high humidity, a common issue this time of year. Inside the app, you'll find more information on what causes high humidity, as well as tips on how to fix it using the D'Addario two-way humidipacks. TaylorSense will also alert you for impacts, temperature changes, and if your battery is low. TaylorSense is a healthcare monitoring system for a Taylor guitar.
Whoever was the wardrobe stylist on that should be fired.
Fired.
So good. Sometimes, if you don't know what's going on here, sometimes I troll Jay
himself.
Sometimes I troll Jay in Taylor content about sports, and it's kind of fun. And that has been played all over all kinds of social media. And he didn't realize it until it had been played everywhere for like a year.
I did. The first time I saw it, we did like a paid ad, right?
Oh, yeah.
On
so
social.
Good.
And the first time I saw it, I screenshot it. And I believe I sent you a text message with some foul language, but I won't repeat myself.
Would it work?
Anyway,
Phil asks, would it work with the T5z? No, because it doesn't have the ES style battery box. So it will
In
work
the bottom of the
the
bottom of the
acoustic
guitar, bottom
So
of
it'll
acoustic
work.
guitars.
It'll work with ES 1.3, which is the 9-volt
The
version
9-volt
of the
version,
ES
yes.
1, or any newer ES 2 equipped guitar that has the 9-volt battery box, like you saw in that video.
Yep.
I wish I should have had
John-
a prop here.
John had a question. Were those Gabe's kids? And those were actually Ron's kids. I mean, Cameron's kids. Cameron used to work here, and we needed to film. Literally, we filmed that shot. It was like, we need some kids running by guitars. Cameron, can we borrow your house and your kids? And we shot it. It was fantastic. So I miss Cameron, Ron, Cameron.
I
Having a hard time.
Yeah, I have girls that act like boys, but I don't put them in content.
Do they turn everything into a weapon? I used to do that when I was like stick, and then I'm going to chase somebody. And
they're
swing
right
it at
now.
them.
Right now, they're really into. They discovered it's fun when kids discover things for the first time because you kind of flash back to what it was like. They've discovered the whole like jinx thing, like when you say something at the same time. But they weren't doing it right, so we kind of had to explain it to them. And my wife and I were explaining it like we're like, if you say something at the same time, like here we'll both say potato, and like so, and now that's what they do. They're like, let's both say potato. It's really fun. they just like, yeah.
Mark has an interesting story. Your daughter, I believe it is fascinated with reptiles.
Yes, we have in my house currently. I've got over 30 reptiles. I have a room we have dedicated. It's like a freaking store. It's awesome. She's into snakes. She's doing rescue. She's basically rescuing. She goes on OfferUp and all these different websites, and she finds these emaciated, just people aren't taking care of their pets. These reptiles. We go and we get them, and she feeds them, and she gets some calcium and puts them under heat lights, and then she readopts them and makes sure the new people have the right size cages for them. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen because she's doing something that's genuinely really meaningful, and now she started fostering dogs also. So I think she's going to do something absolutely. She just adores animals, and it's fun to watch because it's really healthy for her. You know,
my wife has a physical fear, like physical reaction to so fearful of snakes. Like it's sometimes
you should bring her by. Just come and have her check it out.
Yeah.
No, it's shocking
Yeah,
to see.
yeah.
Like I've been there where like we went into a pet store in Chicago once, and she went running out and had a
Dude, my oldest daughter
couldn't
freaked out
handle
on
it.
snakes. Yeah, my oldest daughter's the exact opposite. She can't hang, and my little one just loves it.
So yeah, so what I've been doing is researching, and I reached out to this guy here in San Diego who rescues and goes and like gets rattlesnakes when they get into somebody's house, and I reached out to him to ask if he could train me. So I want to like, if I'm ever near a snake, I can help and know what it is, if it's venomous, what it's going to do, how it's going to react, so that I can take care of my wife if that ever happens. That's what I did.
So
That's what I'm doing right now.
Tex has a really good kind of
He's
comment.
back. See, he does this. We're talking about snakes, Mike, and he goes back and he's like, "I'm going to get back on topic."
I'm going to steer you back to the topic before we have to end the show. So
fine.
I kind of talked about this a minute ago, but it's worth addressing now because he asked earlier, is there a method that the installer of a TaylorSense can know it's working correctly? Well, here's how I know mine's working correctly. I have to turn it at an angle because the light is bouncing off the screen here, but I can see that the humidity is changing. So it's tracking, and I can see that it is, in fact, working. The other big thing I'll say, and I'll say this repeatedly, like when I look at I have two guitars right now with this in. One is at 55% humidity, and one is at 53% humidity. They're different. They also are different from the hygrometers that I have in the room. Why? Because the cases are wood, and they hold moisture, and so do the guitars. So if those guitars had too much moisture in them or too little moisture in them, and they haven't fully acclimated to everything else that's going on in the room, you're going to see some differences in what the app tells you. So you know what happens when we play this. So the app, I'm trusting that the app is more correct because it's taking a reading from physically inside the guitar, not the room. So it's I will trust the app every time, and the hygrometer inside the physical guitar sensing the wood in the guitar every time.
We did have a question about how far away or how close to your guitar do you have to be before it reads it?
I mean, anywhere in my house is not massive, but I can read mine. It's low energy Bluetooth. I can read mine anywhere in my house.
I would say, so you say like 50, 100 feet?
And in the same zone that my, AirPods work.
We don't necessarily recommend to go beyond 30 feet because general low voltage Bluetooth, that's pretty much the extent of it, unless there's like complete line of sight direct, connection. So 30 feet's pretty good. Pretty
30
good
feet
to kind of adhere to.
All right, we've been talking for 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 56 seconds. Mark has been so gracious with his time. You guys
Mark,
have
you
been
rule.
gracious with your time.
You guys are awesome.
guys-
I got one thing I want to say really quick, if you don't mind. Just this is cool.
Oh, we got more. We gotta ask you a question, then talk about
yeah.
sports for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're
okay.
good.
So briefly, I
going.
will just share this one thing. Is that my producer for my show, Take the Lead? We talked today about planning for the next 2 weeks. And what they want to do in not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, we do a live show every Thursday at 3:00. Not unlike this, but except we've done 108 episodes, so you guys need to catch up. That said, they want me to break down that video and teach how to play that song on my internet show. So next week, I think we'll probably play the video,
Nice.
the T5 video, but I'm going to teach you guys how to play the song because
So-
people want to do it.
Before we get into Mike's question, tell us about your show real quick. Where can we find it? How often do you release episodes, etc.?
It's live exactly like this. It's live for about 50 minutes to 1 hour every Thursday at 3:00 live. It's at fugu.com, FUGU.com. Show's called Take the Lead. Just type in Marc Seal, Take the Lead. You'll find it. You don't have to even give an email. You can just log in live, and we give away strings every episode from Elixir. We give away some swag. If you want to give something away, give me a hat. Give me a Taylor hat. We'll give it away on the show. We do name that tune, blah, blah, blah. But basically, the show is something where I teach, I take questions all in real time, 3 cameras, and just
Every
play guitar, talk
Thursday?
every Thursday, 3:00 Pacific time. Been doing it. We're on our 108th episode, I think it is. And I got quite a following now. It's a lot of fun. It's just something I started during pandemic. They wanted me to do it. They actually wanted me to hired me like 6 years ago, but I was doing the Taylor Road show, so I was on the road too much. And then when pandemic hit, we came up with an agreement to do the show. So I've been doing it a little over 2 years for literally every Thursday for a long time. And you can see all the archives. You can go on there right now and just scroll down. You'll see 108 hours of content. It's really fun.
Well, we have at least 340 hours of content because we accidentally go 2 hours most of the time.
Fair enough. You guys got me beat there for sure.
Okay, Mike, it's time for Mike's question.
Yes. Marc
But
Seal.
dress like Sharpie and say it like Lindsay.
Ooh.
Just kidding. Go.
I'm confused. It's like, do I wear a hat and what backwards?
Good
but
shoes.
just
Lindsay's shoe
and
game.
use words. I mean, like, what do I do? Mark, you're a guitar child of the 80s. If there was, it's a 2-part question. One, and I know the answer to this one, who is your favorite guitar player? And 2, what 80s guitar player do you, at the time that you were in the thick of it, did you want to be?
Oh, great. Okay, so which one do you know the answer to?
I think I know your favorite guitar player.
Who?
Gilmore.
So, well, ultimately, I had 3 guitar teachers. It was David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, and Alex Lifeson of Rush. Throw in there Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix. Those 5 is how I learned how to play guitar as a kid. I played all that stuff. Favorite guitar player from the 80s, if you don't know it, it would be Vito Bratta from White Lion.
Nice.
Loved what that
Nice.
guy did.
Wow.
All the tapping stuff, the octaves, the harmonics. just-
Boop.
Did
It
you have
was
did you
so
have
good.
all the Steinberger guitars in your collection?
I had 0 Steinberger guitars. I couldn't get past the way they looked, or even the way he looked. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was just amazing guitar. I just thought it was, because it really was to me. And it's funny you mentioned the guitar players like that, is really Vito Bratta was Van Halen and David Gilmour. It was melodic like Gilmour and technically savvy like Van Halen, but even kind of next level. It was just so good. And I don't know what happened to the guy, but I know he's in New York.
Do you
Long
Do you guys watch Ted Lasso? Or I'm sorry, the show's over.
Seen
I'm
the
not-
whole thing. I've seen the whole thing.
okay.
It's so
So
good.
let's go. Ted
Don't ruin
Lasso.
it for me. Don't ruin it for me.
No, I'm just going to do a Ted Lasso question. Jimmy Page or Joe Walsh?
For who?
Just if you had to pick one, Jimmy Page or Joe.
Jimmy Page, undeniably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who? What do you think, Mike?
I'm torn because, I mean, Jimmy Page was my teacher, right?
Yeah.
But that's why my technique is so horrible. And I hate to put it that way, but let's
So
be
good.
honest. I mean, like the guy was a studio genius, and
Yeah.
live it was fumble fingers everywhere. And I'm not trying to be critical. Just watch any Led Zeppelin live video after 1971. All right, the
Which
first
made
couple
it-
of years he was bulletproof. Couldn't touch him. After that,
There we go. Peter did it.
you know,
Peter did it. Thank
The guy
you,
from
Peter.
Cream.
The
There you
guy
go.
from Cream.
So good.
Ted Lasso reference.
hey,
That's so good. Gabe, who is it for you? Jimmy Page or Joe Walsh?
In this case, I'll go Jimmy Page. I am also going to just say Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
Mark Knopfler, man. I told the story on Father's Day on my social. I put it up. My dad and I went on a road trip once, and that was the moment in time where I learned that Mark Knopfler was an absolute guitar genius. He made me listen to Dire Straits the entire ride.
Such a good band. He's a great songwriter. Like
Yeah.
just Mark Knopfler, man. Yeah, I think that. I know what you mean, Mike, about Page being fumble fingers live, and Jay's heard me say a million times about the Grateful Dead on opposing nights. They could be the best band in the world and the worst band in the world. Like same, like totally same. They could just
how would they know?
How would the fans know? They could just wreck.
How does the joke go? What did the Grateful Dead fans say after the drugs wore off? Man, this music sucks.
All right. That being said, 2 minutes of sports. Let's do 2 minutes of sports real quick. We
Let's
got
do it.
this useless clip. We got to show it. We haven't shown it in a while. Useless clip. Baseball, it's good. Basketball, there's a draft.
There was a draft.
The Spurs are going to be great.
Wemby.
Let's talk about the Vegas Knights crushing it.
Let's
How
talk
rad was
about
that?
the Vegas Knights winning the Stanley Cup was fantastic.
In their
That was-
fourth year.
In
that
their
was amazing.
fourth year. I mean, what just spectacular. Golf has been crazy. Steph Curry dumped that shot. Did you see that? They're showing clips of that all over the place. He hit I can't remember what it was. Of course, it was like a long drive or a long fairway shot right into the cup. I'm like, of course,
Wow.
it's Stephen Curry. He can shoot
Right.
from anywhere.
Right.
Any round ball into a round cup or basket, he'll
Yeah.
hit it. Baseball's crazy. My mom went to a Tigers game the other day. They lost. However, she had a fantastic time. Gabe, they lost. All right.
Guardians are ahead in the AL Central of the
I
Tigers.
know,
I'm good.
I know.
All right. My
Okay.
son just texted me that Otani hit a home run tonight. He just watched him hit a home run tonight.
He's a crusher, man. That's so
That's
great.
pretty awesome. My son's all hyped right now. He's like, dude, Dad, check it out.
All right.
Guardians also currently have a better record than the Cubs, Paul Tobias.
Paul Tobias, you needed to know that. All right, here we go, guys. So it's been a Cubs lose 5-1.
1
That's
week.
what he said. F1, Max Verstappen. You know, he's a fantastic driver. You know, I'm torn sometimes. I love F1. I really, really, really love F1. It's all about the car, though, sometimes. And Red Bull just has been doing it well. He's a fantastic driver. That's how that works. Lots of sports. Anyway, let's stop talking about sports. Let's talk about the show. Usually at this time, we shut down for the summer, and then we bring back the next season. So we'll come back in the fall. This year, we are going to have a couple of shows, peppered through the summer. One of them is at some point when Andy is ready, is we're going to have Andy Powers on, and we're going to talk about a solo project that he's been working on. And I know this is the Taylor Primetime. This is a Taylor podcast, but he's our CEO and chief guitar designer and president. And so it'd be nice to have him on at some point when he's ready. You guys know what I'm talking about. So
if you receive Taylor emails, you definitely know
Yeah,
today.
you know what we're talking about anyway.
you know what we're talking about. Andy has a solo project, and it's just it's been really exciting for us, and it's fun. It's been working on this thing for a very, very long time, and the amount of joy that comes out of Andy when he's talking about these guitars and playing these guitars. We're talking about the Powers Electric stuff. So we really wanted to have him on to talk about those guitars. So we'll let that happen. We're going to remove ourselves from this. It might be a live show. We might pre-record it. It's just, as you can imagine, he's our chief and he's busy. So we got to find time for Andy to jump on, but he's gracious and he will give us his time. Not the Taylor amp. What are you talking about?
What?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
I have this Bad Cat and that amp.
I don't know what that amp is. Anyway, regardless,
That one with the black cover on it.
Friedman over here.
Nice.
I got a twin.
I've got a
reverb.
Victory.
Yeah, I got a
Victory's
matchless.
awesome.
Yeah, they're good amps.
I got an orange over here. Anyway, okay. I don't know what you're talking about. So maybe we'll talk about that sometime when we know what you're talking about.
Amp.
Anyway, guys, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, we love hanging out with you guys. You guys are fantastic to treat us with your generosity and show up every Tuesday night or when we have a show and hang out with us. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could be doing, like watching the Cubs lose or the Guardians lose or the Tigers lose or Ohtani hit a run.
Or the Angels win. Yeah. Daria, no way.
Daria. Hi, bye.
Hi, bye. We're done. Anyway.
Yeah, it's off to In-N-Out Burger. That's out, man. Dinner time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will be back soon. Stick around. Subscribe to YouTube. Smash that thumbs up or that like button on here. You know the deal. All the stuff that helps us.
Notifications. Notifications.
Slap that like button. Is that
Slap
what
that like
button. Know what the kids say these days?
On it.
We will be back in a few weeks. Pay attention to, I'm sure if you're on the Taylor Insider emails, you'll get some emails about it, but we'll be back.
We'll post about it in the owners group too.
Yep. Here next week,
emails.
if I do a show on my daughter's birthday, it would be a bad look. I am not going to do a show.
I did one on my birthday.
You're different, you know?
Yeah. No one cares.
Like for your birthday, all I wanted was a primetime episode, so we delivered. Anyway, Mark, it's been so fantastic, man. It's always great having you on. Sorry we kept you for 5.5
Super
hours.
good seeing all you guys, man. You guys are all wonderful people. I've always loved my time with you guys. So have a great one. We'll see you, I'm sure, sooner than later. And to all you other people out there, have fun. And somebody said they want to see the clip again. I think you guys you have it on your. Oh, you are going to show. Okay, well, enjoy and check out my show because we're going to teach you how to play if you want to do it.
All right, so we're going to show this clip and then everyone's going to say goodbye. All right, have a good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Here you go, Marc Seal again, ripping the T5z Pros and Custom Co-op.
so tight.
Mark
It was
left
so
already.
good.
Marco left.
Mark was like, food and food. Just gotta
Food and
go.
not being here.
Food is not being here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys are
You nerds.
fantastic.
Have a
Happy
great
4th
summer.
of July. Be safe.
Happy 4th of July, also known as my daughter's birthday. Take care. End the broadcast.